Hi everyone, Marla Miller from marlamiller.com presenting Critique My Query, the Writer Magazine's video column that critiques your query. We've been doing this for quite some time now. If you are interested in having your query letter critiqued, not content critiqued, but critiqued for speed bumps, and by speed bumps I mean portions of the query that throw us out of the story, that confuse us, etc. Because we need to get rid of the speed bumps before we can even focus on the query letter and the contents of the query letter. So that's what I listen for here, and I just want to make sure that everyone is very aware of that, because I don't want you to think that we're offering more than what we're offering here in 7 to 9 minutes. Okay. You can just submit your query letter. My email is below, right below the query letter that we also include in this column so that you can follow along. All right, this one was sent to me twice because I do ask people, if you haven't heard from me in about 6 weeks, give me another shout out because I have a lot of query letters anyway, and this writer did, so I want to get to this query letter. Here we go. Lee Burns has no parents. They're dead. For the past 10 years, he's lived with his grandfather, Nicholas, his only blood relation. He's grown up listening to his grandfather's enchanting tales about a magical land called Sparse, a place that many witches and wizards call home. Lee loves these stories almost as much as he loves the man that reads them to him. But when Nicholas suddenly falls ill, Lee's world is turned upside down. Afraid he may lose the only family he has left, Lee soon realizes that Sparse is more than just a fairy tale, and he suddenly finds himself thrust onto a mission to retrieve the red glass, a legendary goblet with astonishing healing powers. And as if that wasn't enough for a 12-year-old to think about, Lee discovers one more thing. He's a wizard. Along the way, he meets two extraordinary characters, Fiona and Cheeky, and they soon become fast friends, something Lee has never had before. Together, they face unbelievable dangers and perilous evils, things Lee only dreamed existed. Werewolves lurk around every corner, something that Parata suddenly haunt Lee's mind day and night. And worst of all, just when Lee thinks the journey is over, an ancient warlock is summoned back to life. And come to find out, he's been waiting for Lee Burns. It's a race against time in this spellbinding adventure as Lee must push aside his insecurities and overcome his deepest fears if he ever wants to see his grandfather again. Everything he cherishes, everything he holds dear is now at stake, and if Lee Burns isn't fast enough, he may lose it all. The Red Glass is a fantasy novel intended for middle grade readers. Fully completed, it stands at 37,000 words. The book involves one looming problem in today's society, bullying. The main character starts out pathetically insecure, but he eventually finds his inner voice and breaks out of his shell. Chock full of magic, adventure, and suspense, The Red Glass will hopefully captivate young fans of today's popular fantasy series and encourage them to be themselves and stand up to bullies in their lives. At the time, I must say that I do not have any professional credentials. I do, however, appreciate your time in reading my submission, which is found below, and look forward to the possibility of hearing back from you. Thank you again, sincerely. Okay. What do I think of The Red Glass? A fantasy novel that is intended for the middle school reader. Let me put on my other glasses. Okay. Well, I think that it certainly has the components of fantasy for middle school readers. This is not a genre that I read, but it seems to me like it's chock full of good stuff that kids would find interesting. There's a main point that I want to make here, but I just want to make sure that I get everything in before. It seems to me, up until the fourth paragraph, it seemed to me that what this little boy was doing was he was entering a world that was created or introduced to him by Grandpa, and that they both loved very much. And now that Grandpa is sick, this little boy, through some magical potion or powers, finds himself in this fantasy world that offers a cure for Grandpa. Yes, that's what I think this story is about, and I think that he's going to have conflict in it. I think that there are going to be people who maybe don't want him to get the magic potion, the healing potion. I think that he forms allies in this story, so we learn some stuff about friendship, and that might be very helpful to middle school readers who perhaps have trouble finding friends and making friends. This little boy found his tribe. So that's encouraging and hopeful to readers. Which again, when you're writing to this age level, you want your stories to be scary, and you also want them to be inspiring. And this looks like it has components of all of that in it. So I don't have any problem with that until the fourth paragraph. And the fourth paragraph really kind of takes me down another road, because he says that this story is about bullying. And I didn't know that until the fourth paragraph. In fact, I didn't even have a hint of that until the fourth paragraph. That's a problem in a query letter. And here's what it suggests to me. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just sharing with you the mind of perhaps a professional reader who might be even a little bit cynical. Bullying is a very hot topic right now. And I think there's a lot that's being written about it. And it is almost a buzzword that when you mention the word bullying, people take notice. I don't know if that's why this paragraph, this fourth paragraph, was included in this query letter, so that the agent reading it would say, oh, it's a story about bullying, we have to get it. If it really isn't a story about bullying, then I don't think that it should be included. I didn't see it in the first three paragraphs per se. But it could be that this writer just wasn't able to craft it until the fourth paragraph, or weave it in, and that happens all the time in query letters, because query letters are letters that are rewritten a lot. I mean, really, rewritten. And so perhaps this letter, it took this writer this long to find out what this story really was about, which is about bullying. And because I thought that it was a story about saving Grandpa and being a hero. That's what I thought. So if it's about bullying, and he could also be a hero, if he stands up to his bullies, then I really think that you need to aim the content of this query to what it's about. Is this little boy going to save his grandpa's life? Is he going to save his own dignity? Is he going to find his courage, like the Lion and the Wizard of Oz? I'm not quite sure what this story is about, and if it is about bullying, then I think that it should lead the story. If it isn't about bullying, then I don't think it should detract us from this story, because I think that there's plenty in the first three paragraphs that, with a bit more editing, could be ready to go. The last paragraph, when the writer says, I don't have any credentials, but if you want to read me, go ahead, I would really get rid of that last paragraph. I just would. I think it's very kind of sweet that this writer says, well, I don't have any credentials, but I would appreciate your time. I don't think that's necessary. You can just omit that. If you have some background with kids that might lend itself to this story, say you're a teacher of this age group, that would be worth putting in there. But I'd get rid of that last two sentences and then use it to hook us more than you have hooked us. And be clear about what this story is about. Lead with it and finish with it. I hope this is helpful. Until the next time, be well, keep writing.